This is Campus News, reporting the top stories from colleges and universities.
Next on Campus News.
See how MSU and physics students are pitching their senior project ideas while learning a key tool for the future.
One too many waters? Watch students get hypnotized into thinking they're drunk.
I hopped across the river and onto a horse to see what life is like in one of NDSU's oldest clubs.
But first, all right or alt-right? NDSU's newspaper stirs controversy.
Good morning and welcome to Campus News. I'm Hannah Norton.
And I'm Benjamin Reiki. At NDSU, an article in the recent taboo issue of their student newspaper, The Spectrum, has caused a stir among students. The issue included an interview with Pete Teft. Teft, a known white nationalist, is from Fargo, but not an NDSU student. In August, Teft was present at the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, that made national news for its protest. The purpose of the taboo issue is to report on uncomfortable topics, but some students claim the paper has been an advocate for the alt-right for some time.
It's just difficult to see someone highlighted that isn't representative of this campus.
The Spectrum declined to be interviewed for this story.
Fighting erupted between supporters and protesters of a white nationalist speaker visiting Michigan State University. Richard Spencer is the president of the National Policy Institute, a white nationalist think tank. Hundreds of anti-fascist protesters gathered outside MSU ahead of Spencer's speech. The fighting started when protesters tried blocking supporters from entering the event. Police say both sides started shoving, punching, and throwing bottles and rocks at each other. Over 150 people were ticketed and more than 20 people were arrested after the fight. According to the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, 16% of college-age individuals use some form of e-cigarettes.
But a new study from the Journal of Pediatrics shows vaping carries many of the same cancer-causing chemicals as smoking. Reporter Ryan Moorman talked with students about how and why they vape.
Over the past few years, e-cigarettes, or vapes, have grown in popularity. With more than 9 million adults in the U.S. partaking daily, vaping has taken the mainstream by storm. Vaping,
as opposed to setting something on fire, it's just heating it up to a certain amount, like when you boil water and you get steam coming off, that steam is what you're inhaling.
Many vapers start due to friends or peers.
Some of my friends like vaping, so I kind of just joined them and got into it that way.
Vapers vape for a variety of reasons.
I'll usually vape while if I'm at my computer, or just, I'd say if I'm working on something, not at work, but especially like filmmaking.
Compared to cigarettes, vaping is a bit easier.
I've smoked a pack or two of cigarettes in my day. I'll say for a fact, vaping's more appealing, it tastes better, it's like smoother.
For me, I think vaping, it definitely feels a lot cleaner. Like whenever you take a hit of a vape compared to a hit of a cigarette, it's definitely a lot less harsh. It certainly smells a lot better. And you don't reek like cigarettes.
It's not all good though. A recent study at the University of North Carolina found that vaping increases the chances of developing serious lung conditions like COPD and cystic fibrosis.
As of now, science kind of supports it as a better alternative, at least in theory. No one knows the long-term effects of them.
For some, vaping may not be long-term.
I feel like in 3 or 4 months, I'm going to look back and I'm going to really regret spending that money on a vape because I won't probably even use it anymore.
With over 20 million users worldwide, vaping won't be going anywhere anytime soon. Ryan Warman, Campus News.
While vaping is marketed as a healthier alternative to smoking, the CDC says e-cigarettes still have a high chance of getting young people addicted to nicotine.
A sorority is being kicked out of a Pennsylvania college for 2 years after holding a scavenger hunt filled with drugs, alcohol, and sex. Lehigh University no longer recognizes the Chi Theta chapter of the Alpha Chi Omega sorority. The school's disciplinary committee said the activities were reprehensible and the sorority will not be acknowledged again until May 2020. The national organization conducted an investigation that led to the suspension, probation, and individual punishment. Alpha Chi Omega has the option to appeal.
MSU Moorhead's Office of Diversity and Inclusion invited Speaker Odell Bizzell for a presentation on how we all need to be united and treat each other with respect.
We can come together and say, hey, the next generation, we're going to make it better.
Bizzell taught MSUM students how racism affects us all. He spoke in depth on how there is still some time for young people to stop the problem of racism.
Thinking that it doesn't impact you, that's privilege. Like, I have a lot of privilege as a white person, and I could choose to ignore all of these things, but I shouldn't, because I should be committed to making sure that everyone's human rights are respected.
If we all put in individual efforts, we can make a better future and stuff.
The Office of Diversity says its biggest goal for next year is getting more students to show up to events like Bizel's presentation. Police arrested a University of North Dakota student, accusing him of embezzling tens of thousands of dollars. Chase Johnson is charged with a Class B felony after being accused of stealing $10,000 to $50,000 from the Phi Delta Theta fraternity at UND. Johnson was treasurer for both the fraternity and UND's student body government. Both the school and fraternity removed Johnson from those positions after his arrest. Authorities are looking at any improper reimbursements, payments, or purchases. Johnson will have a preliminary court hearing on April 4th.
According to a study from the Walden Center, 20% of college students experience some form of eating disorder. Concordia College's Active Minds group held a seminar as part of the Eating Disorder Awareness Week. Guest speaker Dr. Carmen Kuhl is a psych therapist and eating disorder survivor who spoke about the dangers of the disease and weight stigmatism while promoting the importance of body positivity. Carmen took interest in her work after her own experiences through her own battle with the disorder and through her sister who lost her life to the disease.
I feel really strongly that we need to stop locating the problem inside of our bodies and that we need to create a world that is safe for people of all shapes and sizes and abilities and gender expressions to feel safe in, and that I'm not going to stop until that happens.
Kuhl says that she feels her work is making an impact on students and is optimistic about the future for combating eating disorders.
Senior MSUM physics students know they still have important steps to take before graduating, so they met up to pitch their senior seminar ideas, and reporter Pony White has the scoop.
Okay, this is all the equipment that I need.
Speaking the difficult language of science might be tricky for some, but for others,
This effect was identified by Edwin Hall in 1879.
It's just second nature.
What it is it's
Transfer student Andrew Luigi Gordon fell into science because
just a fun thing to do, I think. Every day I learn something new and I can go out and talk to somebody else about that, you know.
For physics major Aidan Schaefer,
of helium, I'm going to be using two methods.
Science has been his passion from a young age.
I was just always good at math, really good at math. I really liked particle physics and astronomy from a young age. I guess the main answer is the homework and stuff doesn't really feel like work. It's just kind of fun for me and I like learning about it.
Yet for Luigi Gordon and Schaefer, it's not about how well they can speak the language,
Step farther.
but how well they are able to translate their work and use
communication skills. Content knowledge is important, but most of the time you get a job based upon how well you're able to communicate your ideas, but also understand and communicate other people's ideas.
It's going to create a potential difference because
these physics students will continue working on their senior projects and teaching others the language of science.
Delta V over delta X.
With photographer Zach Hoffner, Penny White, Campus News.
Both Luigi Gordon and Schaefer had their projects approved and will work on the critiques given by their peers. When students stroll through Langseth Hall, MSU Moorhead's pseudo-mascot Rosie the Iguana is there to greet them. Rosie came to MSUM in May 2016 after the previous iguana, Curie, passed away. Rosie is named after Rosalind Franklin, a chemist famous for her work with DNA and viruses. Originally thought to be a female, Rosie was determined to be a male iguana after getting examined by an expert. Biology major Eddie Berrigan is one of 3 student caretakers who looks after Rosie.
He's still relatively new to people into the school, so you know, it's kind of just our job to take care of him, make him feel comfortable. He's a great iguana, and I'm glad I have the chance to take care of him.
Rosie's life expectancy is 12 years, but students hope he will be around for much longer than that.
Students and faculty alike appreciate when their hard work is recognized.
Reporter Melissa Gonzalez goes to NDSU to see a fun and creative way to give credit where credit is due.
It starts with a nomination.
Please join me in congratulating IDLP recipients of this year's Diversity Impact Award.
Students, faculty, staff, and alum all have the chance to be added to NDSU's tapestry of diverse talents.
It feels really rewarding because I know there are a lot of people out there who are doing this work and they are going above and beyond their professional requirements.
And this year marked the 25th anniversary that nominees were added to the tapestry. Amy Jacobson of Planned Parenthood added her own piece of fabric for recognition of her work that focuses on women.
A big segment of my work is about empowering women to stand up and be their own voice.
And while only 19% of our legislature are female, for generations they risked their lives for the right to vote.
5 people were added to the tapestry this year, and for people like Jacobson, it was an emotional moment.
So for each and every woman is powerful in their own rights and in their own name.
They shared why college life is important for experiencing diversity.
This is the last place that people are going to be in a mixed environment where they actually hear different viewpoints.
It means encompassing all people, that we stand up together and that we recognize that we're all individuals and that we aren't all the same, but that we celebrate that in each other.
And as these inductees add their fabric to the tapestry, NDSU will be on the lookout for next year's top diversity workers. With photographer Jacob Ambrose, Melissa Gonzalez, Campus News.
The tapestry ceremony is one of the initiatives started by NDSU student activities, along with the leadership development programs, service learning, and volunteer networking.
A little piece of China, Romania, Germany, and Rwanda could be found inside the NDSU Student Union as part of the university's International Week. The week allowed international students to celebrate their culture and their home country. The Parade of Nations was the kickoff for International Week. Students carried colorful flags and wore traditional clothing while making their way through the Memorial Union. Other activities in the week included trivia, Arabic lessons, henna art, and sampling coffee from around the world. International students were also given the opportunity to share something about their country and how they contribute to their community.
The good part, the positive part, because that's what makes us human. So highlighting those positive things, telling that we have this community here, you don't have to travel outside the world to see other things. It's all right in front of you. So just making that realization, telling that it's the diversity that makes us all beautiful.
NDSU has 750 international students from around 80 different countries and another 350 to 400 students who are studying abroad this year. Theater students at the University of South Dakota are taking a look at themselves in the mirror in their newest play. The Vermilion University will perform Circle Mirror Transformation. The play is about 4 strangers who sign up for a 6-week acting class and will learn a lot more than just acting techniques. Play director Megan Weiner says she's excited about working with realistic characters and hopes the audience will get curious about acting and theater. The play opens this weekend.
Students were put under a trance when a hypnotist visited NDSU.
Reporter James McCarty found out the message behind the mind games.
Who would like to get drunk tonight?
Hypnotist Keith Carcutt put together a program to teach students about the effects of alcohol.
I was a bad drinker in college and I don't drink anymore and I just wanted to take what I learned back then and put into a message now.
And at the end of the show, we're going to serve this incredible spring water and we're going to make you believe you're getting intoxicated on the most potent alcohol you ever had.
I don't want to do this.
Carcutt thinks that all college alcohol-related deaths could have been prevented.
That you see in the papers, in the news in the last few years where these college students that have been dying in our nation, every person could have been saved.
NDSU student Ryan Alstead attended Carcutt's show.
For a good message on drink responsibly, and not necessarily don't drink, but just be very responsible.
Carcutt used his past experiences to relay his message.
My program is just, hey, it's okay to drink. If you do drink, drink responsibly, and know what to do if that happens.
Alstead had a big takeaway from the show.
It's important so that college students know when their friends are in trouble, whether it's at a party or wherever, they know what to do in order to make sure that they're safe.
With photographer Jacob Ambrose.
I'm an alcoholic, I swear.
James McCarty.
North Dakota State. Yeah.
Campus News.
This was Carcutt's first time hosting a show at NDSU.
Augustin University jazz band students got a little boost from an award-winning musician. Saxophonist Jeff Coffin performed in concert with the South Dakota University's Northlanders Jazz Band. The performance was part of the 44th annual Upper Great Plains Festival in Sioux Falls. Northlanders director Brian Hannigan says he wanted to invite someone who hasn't been to Sioux Falls to try and bring more awareness to the jazz culture in the city. The three-time Grammy winner is also currently a member of the Dave Matthews Band.
When college students think of spring break, many think of popular destinations for sun and fun, beaches and beer.
But instead, students from MSUM took a different route. Reporter Mary Jovic tells us more.
32 MSUM volunteers traveled over 2,500 miles by bus to pay it forward in 6 cities.
There's a lot of glass.
Some of the service projects on this trip included picking up trash,
Let the girls handle it.
landscaping, and bagging over 190 boxes of chicken.
You know, we may be one tiny little food bank in the middle of New Mexico, but it's really inspirational to see young people come in with energy and want to get engaged in a community that's not even theirs.
Jenna Britz has been on 15 Pay It Forward tours with Students Today Leaders Forever, or STLF.
That's really, really cool to see that many people coming together, giving up their spring break, and trying to make a difference in the world.
For some, this is their very first tour.
I had no idea what to expect, and they also didn't tell us anything because it was all a big surprise.
I was really excited to actually break out my shell after a while. Looking back, I don't have any regrets. I love the people that I met and the connections that I made.
The tour is well planned and executed, but the surprises have a purpose.
There's kind of something special about having a group of people getting on this bus, putting their trust in their core members.
We need 7 shovels. I got 1.
According to a report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, those under the age of 24 account for more than 22% of all volunteers.
Well, it really proves there's so much good in the world. I felt like I was a part of something, and it felt like what I was doing actually mattered. So it wasn't just another college kid messing around, I guess.
Coming through! In the end, the reaction was unanimous.
Everyone had such a powerful week, powerful 9 days.
With photographer Leah Backstrom, Mary Jovic, Campus News.
Since 2004, there have been 788 paid forward tours with over 30,000 students participating.
And now we turn it over to Tyler Ziegler for a look at this week's sports. Tyler, what do you got for us?
Well, I got a lot of confidence I'm going to crush both of you in our March Madness brackets.
Game on.
But there is big money in the line for people making March Madness brackets this year. Warren Buffett is offering up a reward of $1 million per year for life to anyone with the perfect bracket. Anyone employed by Berkshire Hathaway is eligible to win. The billionaire added that if Creighton or Nebraska wins the tournament, the prize money will be doubled. Also, the employee whose bracket stays intact the longest during the tournament will receive $100,000. Last year, a steel worker from West Virginia correctly predicted the first 31 out of 32 games and received $105,000. Former MSU Moorhead athlete Blake Bosch has done it all. Reporter Alexis Kennedy guides us through this MSUM standout's journey as a Dragon.
If you're at a wrestling match for the Dragons this year, you might see a familiar face, but this time on the sideline. Coach Chris Nelson has been with the Dragons for 9 years and has known Blake for a long time. He recruited, coached, and then hired him.
He's got you. I look back on Blake when he was a wrestler, and he was just a great leader. He was a captain of the team for 3 years. He was a 3-time All-American for us, great wrestler, knows a lot of technique.
Blake Bosch wasn't just a wrestler for the Dragons, he's considered to be one of the best wrestlers to ever come through this program. And now he's taken on his new role as a coach.
I want to walk that line correctly as a friend and a coach, but I feel like I can be someone they're comfortable with.
As a coach, Blake does the same thing. Blake is a great motivator, he's a great technician in the room, he's a great wrestler, he's still in great shape, so Blake can wrestle with everybody in the room.
Including team captain Adam Blease, who's been wrestling with him since they were little.
Blake and I were about the same size back then, so we got to wrestle a lot, and we wrestled on some of the national duels teams and middle school dual teams, so he's really stepped up and been there for guys, knows what everyone's going through with school, and taking time out of his day to help guys, and I think it's been a really smooth transition.
You know, the relationship between Blake and the wrestlers has been great. I think it's only going to get better moving forward. We're looking to have him back next year.
Look forward to seeing Blake Matt side again. With photographer Chrissy Ness, Alexis Kennedy, Campus News Sports.
While coaching, Blake is continuing graduate school at MSUM. Texas Wesleyan University's baseball coach has been fired after rejecting a prospect because of Colorado marijuana laws. Coach Mike Jeffcoat sent out an email to a prospect rejecting him. Jeffcoat told the recruit that he will not take any players from Colorado due to past troubles with marijuana. The coach believes these troubles come from marijuana being legal in Colorado. The school is currently investigating the email and released a statement on its website acknowledging that it does not agree with Jeffcoat's discriminatory views. In one Dragon club, you can find flashing steel and fancy footwork. Reporter Madison Woolhouse shows us what the future holds for a group of MSUM fencers.
Every Monday and Wednesday around 5 o'clock, MSUM students get together and try to stab each other. But it's all part of the sport of fencing.
The translation for fencing is the art of defense, where you go against each other with swords and hope that you beat the other guy.
For some, fencing is a great way to get some exercise.
I enjoy fencing, and it's a great workout, especially for people like me who normally don't do sports.
But for others, it's not just about working up a sweat.
I think it's a really good stress relief. Like, it really allows you to kind of just like unwind and not think so much, but like still at the same time be active and participating in your surroundings.
PR officer Mason Qualley says he enjoys the sport because of the adrenaline rush it gives him.
It's really addicting. This is just an addicting sport kind of thing. It's great.
Some students around campus may not be aware that MSUM even had a fencing club.
We talk about it mostly word of mouth. We got that big banner in the CMU. We've done that a couple times. And we just really promote ourselves through like Dragon events.
Compared to last year, we've worked on getting Fencing Club out there and more publicly known, and which has resulted in a bigger turnout, which is a good thing.
Club president Dalton Bart says the club didn't even participate in competitions last year, and that is one of the things they're looking forward to most this year.
I've already been talking to the Fargo Moorhead Fencing Club, and they want to host a tournament here, and they said they'd provide all the referees and all the equipment and everything, so hopefully by the end of this semester we'll be able to host a tournament.
Whether they're enjoying the adrenaline rush at every practice or promoting themselves at Dragon events, the members of the fencing club seem to be excited about the changes that are coming this year. Madison Woolhouse, Campus News.
The club is also introducing a new form of fencing using sabers. A former UConn basketball player is getting his chance to shine as a Paralympian. Steve Empt lost his ability to walk back in his 20s, but was not ready to put his life as an athlete behind him. After meeting curling coach Tony Calaccio, Empt was ready to join the U.S. Paralympic curling team. Empt, a Connecticut math teacher, uses his knowledge of angles and different aspects of math to improve his curling game. Empt is currently competing in the 2018 Pyeongchang Paralympic Winter Games. A North Dakota State University club is celebrating 55 years of ropes, riders, and the ridden. Reporter Hannah Norton saddles up and shows us a sport where the equipment is alive.
The NDSU Rodeo Club has passionate students and athletes who have an interest in the sport of rodeo.
This is Gus. I've had him for like 9 years. So I got him when he was 5.
Lexi Perez practices every single day with Gus, preparing for their event in barrel racing.
You go around 3 barrels as fast as you can, but it's just different. Like, you have to be in sync with your horse all the time, and I've had him for 8 or 9 years, so it's a pretty good bond between a horse and a rider.
Within the club, there is a traveling team of 22 athletes who compete in 10 rodeos and events that include roping and barrel racing. The club travels all around the Midwest with 30 horses at a time and 15 hours away. Head coach Tate Eck believes in hard work and preparation is crucial in becoming the best.
You actually have 2 athletes out in that arena, you and that horse. So that horse has to be fine-tuned, you have to be fine-tuned, and it all has to come together at one time.
Coach Eck takes his job seriously, for he has been competing in rodeo all his life.
You know, everything's not peaches and daisies every day. Sometimes you need a little reminding that, you know, we got to tighten this up or do this, not just, hey, good job.
Being dedicated to the sport, Perez finds this arena her home.
A lot of time is spent here, a lot of laughs, and it's just a lot of fun being here all the time.
To Coach Eck, the club provides more than just competition.
The correct word there is family. It's a rodeo family.
Once the 10 rodeos are done, the top 3 in each event has the opportunity to go to the college national finals that are held in Casper, Wyoming. Hannah Norton, Campus News Sports.
The Rodeo Club kicks off their season this month and ends in June, hopefully in the national finals. Hannah, I cannot believe you didn't fall off that thing. I'm super impressed.
Honestly, the hardest part is getting on the horse.
Thanks, Tyler. Most MSU Moorhead students know the campus has a science department, but few know it holds a spectacular SeaWorld-like secret.
Reporter Tyler Ziegler brings us inside MSUM's Marine Lab.
Hidden in the basement of Langseth Hall
Not many people know it's down here.
are some of the ocean's coolest creatures. Creatures that crawl, swim, and glide,
We have stingrays.
which is rare.
You don't see this in Minnesota, so to have this is really cool. The stingrays are my favorite, and they're like my babies.
The stingrays aren't alone in here. The tide pool is right next door, which houses guys like this. The MSUM Marine Lab is like a family. There's always the shy member, the family star, and the mean one.
So the hermit crab is a bully. Yep, he's not very happy today.
Some of the members even have names.
Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and Scratchy.
But what really makes the lab a family is the passion the students have for it.
This is just something that we do because we want to. It is my favorite place on campus by far. I spend a lot of time down here.
Every hour volunteered.
It's really cool.
No credit for any class.
It's a lot of fun.
Just that passion for this magnificent marine life.
I want it to grow.
Building on an idea that started 5 years ago and hoping that this is only a drop in the bucket for what the future holds. With photographer Branson Reeser, Tyler Ziegler, Campus News.
The students hope the next addition to the Marine Lab will be jellyfish. And that's it for this edition of Campus News.
We leave you with another look at MSUM's Marine Lab.
Thanks for joining us and have a great week.
Campus News is produced by the Television News Workshop in the School of Communication and Journalism at Minnesota State University Moorhead in cooperation with Prairie Public Television.